What's up, everybody? My name is Big Dev, and thank you to my channel, Dev's Mastermind. Okay, so today, y'all, what I want to get into today, so I don't know if y'all heard the story about Jayden Daniels and about him wanting to have his jersey number retired, but either way, he had said he had wanted to have his jersey number retired. So basically, what I was, what I cooked up for the day, I was just in a sense like, you know what, let me do something in the sense, that represents him, but, represents, jersey retires. But either way, I did, whose jerseys who really should be retired, and I did it for the pro, college football, and, that's about it. So that's what I did it for. Now, some of the criteria, are met. So, some of them, some things you may not see on here because they really haven't done much. Then ones maybe for college, you have to see like you had to be a 10,000-yard passer, and then you had to make, that program that wasn't good, maybe like UNC or Iowa State, a good program, you had to make them at least a little decent. So for today's video, I wanted to give you all my people who I think who should have their jerseys retired more so than anything. So let's get into that list. Okay, so for this is the NFL. So I said for Carolina Panthers, Luke Kuechly, Steven Sr. I said for the Falcons, Julio Jones, Matt Ryan. I said for the New Orleans Saints, my boy Drew Brees. I said for Tampa Bay, Tom Brady and Mike Evans. For the Seahawks, I said Kenneth Walker, the MVP for the Super Bowl last year. Sam Darnold, Bobby Wagner, Legion of Boom Core, Russell Wilson. For Arizona Cardinals, I said Larry Fitzgerald and Kurt Warner should get their jerseys retired. For LA Rams, I said Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford. For Cincinnati Bengals, I said Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Trey Hendrickson. For Baltimore Ravens, I said Joe Flacco, the one and only Joe. And for Cleveland Browns, I said Myles Garrett. Pittsburgh Steelers, I said Ben Roethlisberger. For Green Bay Packers, I said Aaron Rodgers. For Philadelphia Eagles, I said Nick Foles, Jalen Hurts, and the whole damn Georgia defense, all of them. For the New York Giants, I said, any other defenses too, and the Giants. For the KC Chiefs, I say Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Mecole Hardman, Chris Jones, and damn Taylor Swift. And for the Denver Broncos, I said Von Miller, Peyton Manning. For Houston Texans, I said J.J. Watt. For the Tennessee Titans, I said Derrick Henry, Chris Johnson. For the New England Patriots, I said Gronk, Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, Teddy Bruschi, Stephon Gilmore, and Drake May. Okay, that's it for the NFL. This one for college, I said Oklahoma State, Brandon Whedon, Justin Blackmon. For West Virginia, I said Will Greer, Geno Smith, Tavon Austin. For Kansas State Wildcats, I said Colin Klein, Darren Sproles. For TCU, I said Andy Dalton, Trevor Boykin, not the 65-17, none of those people. Texas Tech, I said Patrick Mahomes. For UFC Knights, I said Mackenzie Milton, Blake Bortles. For Utah Utes, I said Alex Smith, Devin Lloyd. For Baylor Bears, I said Bryce Petty, Robert Griffin III, RG3. For Houston, I said Case Keenum and Greg Ward Jr. For Arizona State, I said Cam Scottaboo. And then for Arizona, I said Tatarion McMillan, or whatever his name is, Noah K-Fita. Then I said for Auburn football, I said Chris Davis, because of course he invented the kick six or whatever. Then I said Trey Mason and Nick Marshall. Then Texas A&M, I said Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, Mike Evans. Then I said LSU Tigers, Joe Burrow, Justin Jetta, Jamar Chase, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Patrick Queen. For Ole Miss Rebels, I said Trinidad Chambliss and Kewan Lacey, and I said those two because those two won championships when it came. They didn't win championships. They they really want a playoff game against a good team or whatever, and they look like they're very promising. So they should definitely get their jerseys retired. But for the Florida Gators, I said Tim Tebow, Percy Harvin, Derek Harvey. For Georgia football, I said Sonny Michel, Roquan Smith, Nick Chubb, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Stetson Bennett, Trayvon Walker, and whoever the hell on the defense should be retired. And then for Indiana football, I said Fernando Mendoza. For Oregon Ducks, I said Marcus Mariota. For Washington Huskies, I said Michael Penix Jr. For Michigan Wolverines, I said Blake Corum, J.J. McCarthy, Donovan Edwards. For Michigan State Spartans, I said Kenneth Walker. For Wisconsin, I said Melvin Gordon, Jonathan Taylor. For Stanford Cardinals, I said Christian McCaffrey, Andrew Luck. For Florida State, I said Jameis Winston, famous Jameis. North Carolina, I said Sam Howell, Omar Hampton, Josh Downs. For South Carolina, I said Jadeveon Clowney, Connor Shaw. And Clemson football, I said Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, Christian Wilkins, Cleveland Farrell, and Ben Boulware. And then for Georgia Tech, I said Megatron, of course. For Washington, I said Rome Odunze, Dylan Johnson, and Michael Penix Jr. For Tennessee, I said, well, Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt. And the reason why I said those two, because those two were really, nobody ever, put up 52 or, tried to beat Alabama, high-scoring games. So they definitely made Tennessee a little bit better that 1 year. But otherwise, that Tennessee been a whole joke. And then for Iowa State, I said Breece Hall and Brock Purdy. Of course, them two. Brock Purdy was a 10,000-yard passer there, and Breece Hall was one of the best running backs there. And then for Wake Forest, I said Sam Hartman. So that's my list. So that's all you got to, those are people, whose jerseys who should be retired. So I just wanted to show y'all this is how much I had to do or whatever. And just know this took me 1 day because, I'm an autistic kid, so we can remember stats and numbers or whatever, we're obsessed with no other. So this is all of my list that I did for that time or whatever to do it. But either way, yeah, Jayden Daniels, you can't, I understand, you good, but you weren't on Joe Burrow's level when it comes to some stuff. Joe Burrow was a legend in all his team. But another one thing I want to get into before we go, so I think y'all all know the famous actress Hayden Panettiere or whatever died or whatever. So I just want to say rest easy, young lady, rest easy to your soul or whatever. I'm sure you made everybody's life a great deal. So I just want to say, you'll forever be missed. I remember you and Scream and all that stuff that I used to watch. So just know, we all, wishing you, a good life in heaven or whatever. So rest in peace, Hayden. And either way, that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about today. But either way, this is all I wanted to, talk about for today. My next video, I'm going to probably talk to you about boxing, like Kimbo Slice and Mike Tyson and all those people, these were big dudes or whatever that were, were scary, scared people. But, they were, well, Kimbo Slice was a gentle giant. But either way, that's probably what I'll talk about on my next video. Either way, remember to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you very much. I appreciate y'all. Goodbye.